most famous and controversial psychological studies ever conducted. It was led by psychologist Philip Zimbardo at Stanford University in 1971. The study aimed to investigate the psychological effects of perceived power, focusing on the struggle between prisoners and prison officers. Here's a detailed explanation of this experiment. The Stanford Prison Experiment was designed to explore how individuals conform to roles of authority and submission in a simulated prison environment. Zimbardo wanted to understand how people would react when placed in a situation where they had absolute control and power over others or were subjected to the control of others. 24 male college students were selected from a pool of 75 volunteers. These participants were screened for psychological stability and physical health to ensure that no one with extreme personality traits was included. The participants were randomly assigned to two roles, guards and prisoners. Half of them were assigned to be guards, while the other half were assigned to be prisoners. The basement of Stanford University Psychology building was converted into a mock prison, complete with cells, solitary confinement, and a small yard. The environment was made as realistic as possible, with participants wearing appropriate uniforms. The guards wore military-style khaki uniforms, sunglasses to prevent eye contact, and carried batons. The prisoners wore smocks with ID numbers, and their personal belongings were confiscated. They were only referred to by their numbers and not their names to dehumanize them. The prisoners, so-called prisoners, were unexpectedly arrested at their homes by real police officers, taken to the local police station, booked, and then transported to the mock prison. This was done to enhance the realism of the situation. The guards were given the authority to run the prison as they saw fit, but they were instructed not to use physical violence. The prisoners were to be treated like real inmates, subject to routine counts and follow strict rules. However, the results were very dangerous. There was a rapid deterioration of behavior seen. The experiment quickly spiraled out of control. The guards began to exhibit increasingly sadistic behavior, abusing their power by implementing psychological torture, forcing prisoners to perform humiliating tasks, and depriving them of their basic needs. The prisoners became passive, depressed, and showed signs of extreme stress and emotional distress. Some prisoners began to accept their roles, while others rebelled or had emotional breakdowns. One prisoner had to be released after only 36 hours due to severe emotional disturbance. The guards' cruelty intensified as the days went on, leading to more extreme punishments and dehumanizing treatment of the prisoners. The experiment was supposed to last 2 weeks but was terminated only after 6 days. Zimbardo decided to end the experiment after a visiting graduate student, Christina Maslach, who also later married Zimbardo, objected to the conditions and questioned the morality of what was happening. This experiment has been criticized for ethical issues. Which were the ethical issues? First was lack of informed consent. Participants were not fully informed about the potential emotional and psychological risks. The participants, especially those assigned the role of prisoners, suffered significant psychological distress. Zimbardo himself was criticized for his dual role as both the lead researcher and the prison superintendent, which some argue compromised his objectivity and led to the escalation of the guards' abusive behavior. This experiment demonstrated the power of situational factors in influencing behavior. It showed how quickly ordinary people could adopt abusive behaviors when placed in a position of power within a dehumanizing environment. The ethical controversies surrounding this experiment led to significant changes in how psychological experiments are conducted. Institutional review boards now enforce stricter guidelines to protect the participants from harm. The validity and interpretation of this experiment's results remain subjects of ongoing debate. Critics have questioned the experiment's methodology, the extent to which participants were acting rather than genuinely experiencing their roles, and whether the findings can be generalized beyond the specific context of the experiment. The Stanford Prison Experiment has influenced many areas of psychology, criminology, and even pop culture. It is often cited in discussions of authority, conformity, and the potential for ordinary people to commit unethical acts under certain conditions. The experiment has been the subject of numerous documentaries, books, films, which have kept the discussion about the nature of evil and human behavior alive for decades. Let's evaluate this experiment. In recent years, some researchers have questioned the authenticity of the experiment's findings, suggesting that participants might have been influenced by demand characteristics or that Zimbardo may have shaped the outcome. Attempts to replicate the experiment under more controlled conditions have yielded mixed results, further fueling the debate. In summary, the Stanford Prison Experiment is a landmark study in social psychology that offers profound insights into the dark aspects of human nature and the effects of situational variables on behavior. But it also serves as a cautionary tale about the ethical limits of psychological research. Thank you so much for listening.